Thank you, Secretary Haaland. I'll start the questions, and my first question would be to you. I think last year we asked you to commit that the overdue 5-year leasing program for offshore oil and gas will actually contain lease sales. We still don't have the program in place, and we know that you don't plan to finalize the program until December of this year at the earliest, which is 18 months late. Additionally, the department has not started the environmental review process for the 2024 sales, which makes it very unlikely that you're going to do any leasing next year in 2024. Because the IRA ties wind leasing to oil and gas, failing to take an all-of-the-above approach to energy security puts the administration at risk of taking a none-of-the-above approach. They'll get nothing. That's how important this is. So maybe you can explain to me the time and why it's taking so long and why your intentions are so far behind from what we had asked for and what the law has said.
Thank you, Chairman, for the question. And first I'll say that the reason the 5-year plan is behind is because the previous administration dropped the ball and stopped working on the plan. Our staff picked it up. They started working on it. We expect the final plan out in September. Of course, we understand fully, we're mindful of the provisions of the IRA, and we will follow the law with respect to leasing. And I want to say that we are moving this forward, and we'll be happy to keep you apprised of the process.
My only comment on that would be I think the previous administration still did leasing in a timely fashion, from what we understand, unless you have a different calculation of that or a different review, unless you didn't like what was done. I don't know.
Senator, I was talking in respect to the 5-year plan. You asked why it was late.
Okay. Permitting the Department of Interior simply taking too long both for the energy security goals and our environmental goals. According to the Council on Environmental Quality from 2010 to 2018, DOI's environmental impact statements average 5 years to get to a record decision. 5 years. Furthermore, basic Fish and Wildlife Service reviews that used to be completed within weeks are taking months, while leaders from the BLM and other agencies are blaming permitting delays on a lack of funding for staffing. The IRA allocated $150 million to Interior, specifically dedicated to permitting, on top of the $500 million in conservation and resilient funding split between the National Park Service and the Bureau of Land Management. The department and its agency also are able to access the IRA's $350 million of transferable funding from the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Committee. Have you all spent all that money? I mean, is it all gone and you're deficient now, and that's why you're not able to do it on time?
Senator, thank you for the question. And of course, we understand that permitting does take a long time. You can't just open a can and spill out a permit. It takes a lot of research and work by the career staff, and they're dedicated. You know that we have approved many, many permits since the beginning of this administration, since January 2021. With respect to drilling permits, the applications to drill were moved forward. There's nearly 7,000 currently unused.
Do you all support, as an agency, the permitting reforms that you're hearing both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, both saying that we need? And have you all been able to give us some ideas or some support on how we can expedite this?
Senator, I recognize that that's a continuous issue, and I can't speak to whether the administration supports or doesn't support. However, we will continue to do our jobs and move all of those permits forward. And we have done a tremendous amount of work. As I mentioned, there are nearly 7,000 permits currently that are unused. They kept processing permits since we came into office. Excuse
me, are there any codes that we could clear up or try to change or be helpful towards the permitting process and expediting it? No matter what side of the fence you may be on, an all-in energy policy means we have to do everything. And for that, renewables are having the same challenges that fossil. And what we're needing is a way forward if we're going to do anything.
Yes, thank you, Senator, or Chairman. I appreciate your willingness to help us with that issue. And of course, we'll be happy to stay in touch with your office and work together to expedite things.
Senator Brasso.